And now, a special edition of the Toddcast podcast.
Powered by Citywide Mortgage Services, providing complete financing and mortgage services for residential and small commercial businesses. Visit them at citywidemortgage.ca.
Now, here's your host, Todd Hancock.
Do you have a near-death story? Most people do. Ask your circle. Believe me, most will have something to share with you. I have a few brushes with death over the years. Almost hit by a train. This was like grade 3 up in Kitimat, BC. Was close enough to a black bear at one point that their hiss made my whole body stand on end. The hair on my arms, on my neck. The thought of being attacked by this bear, probably grade 5, grade 6. A few dicey airplane rides, bush parties in the Okanagan, getting home. Who knows how drunk the driver of the car was. Just absolutely stupid shit. And at some point, most people have a brush with death. A car accident, severe illness, a dangerous encounter, something. They'll have something to share. It's those moments where you can feel how fragile and uncertain that life truly is. You realize your mortality, and that can sometimes shift things, inspire change, the unpredictability of it all. My name is Todd Hancock. And that's what this week is all about. Near-death stories. You will hear from 9 guests this week. They share their stories with us. In sports, he is a center for the New York Rangers. She's a famous fitness trainer, and he's a retired Major League Baseball pitcher. In entertainment, she's a well-known dating coach. He's the weed guy, and she's alumni of the Real Housewives of Dallas. And in just a minute, you'll hear our musical guests. He is the singer of one of stoner rock's best, another singer who Jimmy Page of Zeppelin said his band will save rock and roll. And she is the bassist of multiple rock bands, a monster in her own right. That's coming up shortly. In Stop Me If You've Heard This Before, pro wrestler Amber Nova shares her near-death driving story. That's powered by our good friends at FKP MMA. You can learn self-defense, build your self-esteem, prepare yourself for the unknown. There's something to be said about being able to protect yourself and help those around you, right? My youngest Levi he's into his, coming up on, I think he's on his 3rd year. He absolutely loves it. Vancouver's #1 training destination. Find them through fkpmma.com. First, let's get to those musical guests in our near-death stories, all of whom are powered by the Hawkins Sound Ranch. Get over 20 years experience and use their state-of-the-art studio. Corey, the owner, has a can-do attitude. He has been there. He's done that himself in Vancouver bands, getting played on 99.3 The Fox back in the day when I was that station's indie music director. Corey's done the tours as well, created the music, and he's giving back to the community. So get your band commercial sound on an indie budget. Step it up a notch. Check them out through thehawkinssoundranch.com. And of course, follow along on Twitter and Facebook too. They're active on both. I think more on Facebook than Twitter, but yeah. Anyway, fair to say that if you have a near-death experience, like a brush with death, it can leave a lasting impression on your life and maybe even bring feelings of gratitude or fear, or maybe even clarity in some cases. I know that for me, that's certainly the case. I do remember thinking like just how lucky I was to still be alive, depending on which near-death story I'm sharing, of course, and how it shaped the person that I am today. Clutch is from Maryland in the States, formed in 1991. They are one of the pioneers of stoner rock, and their singer Neil Fallon was a guest during COVID and those house arrests.
Oh, plenty of times. I mean, on the road, we could go on for another hour with stories about near accidents that I shouldn't be here.
Yeah. Driving anytime in Canada in the wintertime.
One of the most, well, yeah, I remember driving in your neck of the woods. I wasn't driving. We were on a tour bus.
Yeah.
We were coming up an incline through the Rockies, and some guy in one of those Subaru Brats from the 1980s tried to pass us on the left. And I watched that car just go right over the side of the mountain. And I went up to the bus driver and I said, "We got to stop." He said, "No, we can't stop, because if we stop, we'll
get going again."
You know?
Yeah.
And so he contacted who he could, but you see stuff like that. And we've also experienced stuff with us that, very, very, very close to perishing, which is always a very humbling experience because it's easy to take these things for granted constantly.
Yeah. You're almost rolling the dice with the job that you do.
Yeah. It's, traveling in any capacity is dangerous. So that's why we try to when we're super young, you don't know anything. You feel invincible and you're willing to take risks. But now we try to exclude anything that would interfere with the show, whether it be personal behavior, people we don't know, things that happen after the show. If it doesn't affect the show the next day, great, go ahead. Mm-hmm. If there's a tornado warning and we have to stop and miss the show, then we'll do it. We've experienced that, weather things, electrocution, you name it.
And we'll take you from Clutch to the English band Royal Blood. They formed in 2011, 4 albums deep at this point, arguably the best rock band to have come out in the last decade. Multiple award winners in NME Awards, the Brit Awards, Kerrang Awards, UK Music Video Awards. Royal Blood singer Mike Kerr has been a guest a couple times.
Yeah, I have. I've had a couple. Oh. The closest was probably we were in a propeller plane, which we were told was a private jet. So we were so excited. We're like, can't believe it. We're going to go on a fucking private jet. And we turned up and it was basically a minibus with wings. Yeah. It was this old beat up Scooby-Doo fucking plane. And it just basically fell out of the sky. Right. To the point where Ben hit the ceiling and
holy shit.
And the pilots were freaking out and we had to do an emergency landing and that was pretty scary.
Wow. Dude.
Very very Almost Famous.
And from Royal Blood to the bassist of Whitesnake, Bruce Dickinson, Dee Snider, among others, Tanya O'Callaghan. Beyond the music, she is a keynote speaker, a lifelong activist, an advocate for animals, human and environmental causes.
Been a couple of questionable tour bus drivers.
Yeah.
I do remember being in, where were we? I feel like we were somewhere, maybe Germany, when I was with Dee Snider. I must ask Jason Sutter about this actually, because it was like an in and out quick and we had to, we finished the gig, get back to the hotel, it's 1 a.m. and we have to leave at 4 a.m. It's lobby call. So you get yourself ready and leave. But I remember that we had a really questionable driver getting us to the airport and it was the middle of the night and he kept swerving off the road. And so there's been a few of those. And then I also remember being on a very dodgy flight with Dee and Danny, our tour manager, and we're they're sit down and strap in. You're like, what's happening? And you're bouncing out of the seat. So I'd like to not have any more of those experiences. But a few driver experiences where they were tired and it was a bit, oh God. So you stay up all night on the tour bus and prod the driver and talk to them and ask them questions and give them
keep them awake. Please don't kill everybody.
Yeah.
Toddcast Podcast musical guest visits are powered by the Hawkins Sound Ranch. Use their 20-plus years of experience to record at their state-of-the-art studio. Commercial sound on an indie budget. Visit thehawkinssoundranch.com for more.
Well, it's cold. Outside, but it's even colder in here with you, 'cause I know what you did last night, and you ain't about as low as you can go. I will leave now.
Stop me if you've heard this before on the Toddcast podcast.
You'll best know wrestler Amber Nova from her time with Impact Wrestling, working with AEW, the WWE, and NXT. She's the daughter of a mechanic and former EMT. No doubt that's why you see her posing with muscle cars online. Often it's her 73 Chevy Nova. And when Amber jumped to Zoom with us, we talked about growing up to the music of Petty and Springsteen and Taylor Swift. Hinder and Seether came up. So did Superpowers, practicing jujitsu, comic books and family, Buffy the Vampire Slayer. And stop me if you've heard this before, Amber shared a driving near-death story.
Okay. Well, I have been skydiving, and that feels about the same.
Yes.
I got my life is literally in this guy's hands, strapped to my back with the parachute. So
yeah, totally.
Very scary, but exciting. Yes. So let's see. I was driving. I was making a turn out into the highway in my new Nova, and I have this wooden cross that hangs from my rearview mirror that I've had since I went to Christian camp when I was like 17 with my sisters. It was a nice Camp St. Christopher church out of like Charleston, South Carolina area. I used to go to youth group, and I really enjoyed it when I was younger. So I have this wooden cross that hangs from my rearview mirror, and I turn out onto I think it's 3 lanes, 2 lanes traffic, and I got room. I'm good. Well, as I turn, the cross that's hanging on my rearview mirror swings, hooks into my steering wheel, yanks the steering wheel out of my hand. I could not pull it back because the cross is hooked to the rear view, hanging up on it, and the wooden cross is stuck in there. And it jerks the wheel right out of my hand, and I couldn't turn it back, so it's hooking it this way.
Holy shit.
Yeah. And I hit a curb. I went off on a curb a little bit. It messed up the trim ring on the tire. No big deal. I just got a new one. Tire was fine. But my dad's like, damn it, what you hitting curbs for? And I was like, it wasn't my fault. Technically, I think it might have been Jesus' fault. I don't know.
Jesus took the wheel.
I should knock on wood for that one. That's not good. I should not joke and play. But yeah, that was scary. I wouldn't say like total near death, but I was more so scared. Like, I don't want to mess up my car.
Yeah.
Not the car.
Stop Me If You've Heard This Before on the Toddcast podcast is powered by FKP MMA, Vancouver's #1 training destination at fkpmma.com. And now, highlighting our next Blue Light sessions, powered in part by Canadian Club Whiskey. Meet your new cold one. We serve Canadian Club and Ginger ready-to-drink cocktails at all of our live shows. Visit CanadianClub.com today.
Oh my God, I love it. So retro.
Golden drills and growing pains. So retro. Boxer suits and Nintendo games. So retro. Jacqueline in the stage. So retro. What fun. Chernobyl and 3 Mile Out. So retro. Nuke apocalypse is nigh. So retro. While holes are burning in the sky. So retro. What fun. Nostalgia. It's gotcha. Nostalgia. Comic books and BB guns. So retro. Cabbage Patch for endless fun. So retro. Muppets, Fraggles, can't just run. So retro. What fun. Body crews and Civil Wars. So retro. Moving these jobs offshore. So retro. Governments and patriot lords. So retro. What fun. Don't forget it! But don't remember! Back to Circa 84! Nostalgia! It's gotcha! Nostalgia! Hulkster and the Macho Man. So retro. And those
some great players, and you know their show is absolutely going to smoke. The band is called the Get Minds. That's new music for them, new to the podcast as well. A cool song called Circa 84, which you'll probably see live, I would be willing to bet. A month from today, they're headlining our next live show at the Blue Light Studio in beautiful East Vancouver, Friday, November 29th. Toddcast Podcast Blue Light Sessions, Volume 32, with the Get Minds and Blue Stem. I'll play you something from Blue Stem later on in this podcast. As we do, both bands will get a 45-minute set. I will interview them for maybe the first 15, 20 minutes at the very most while they play as well. And you can ask questions of the band as well. In fact, we've even seen audience members come up and play a song, not planned at all. It's completely spontaneous. It's intimate. Only 60 tickets will be sold. It's a pretty small studio. It's interactive as well. It's only $20. 20 bones right now through eventbrite.ca. Event, B-R-I-T-E, eventbrite.ca. Search Toddcast Podcast. You can't miss our shows, and hopefully we'll see you there. I played you a new song for Spendo and This Feelin'. They had one of the more memorable podcast shows last year. I mean, they were quite literally minutes away from they were supposed to be playing and starting up their set, and they came to me. They're like, dude, our drummer just had an anaphylactic attack. I thought they were fucking with me, but they weren't. Couldn't play. Had to go to the hospital after using, if you use your EpiPen, you need to go to the hospital. They need to monitor you, right? So just by chance, there's someone at the show who knew their music well enough that he steps up. I can't think his name was Toby. Anyway, he stepped up and he played percussion for Spendo. What a crazy night. Absolutely love it. All right, coming up in just a few minutes, Listen to This, Americana artist Kyle McKerney shares his near-death story that involves a moose. How Canadian is that? That is powered by Tedco RV Supplies in Langley. RV service, repairs, ICBC accredited. They are 8-year sponsor. Oh my God, absolutely key to why we've been able to continue making these podcasts over the years. Big love to Tamra and the crew. You can find them online on Facebook and Twitter at Tedco RV Supplies. First, back to more near-death stories and some sporting guests. And most of us, like I said, we've had those near-death moments. Talk to someone who's survived a big fall, and they'll tell you all about the split-second realization of the impending doom and the danger and the relief and disbelief that, holy crap, I didn't die. I should have died. I didn't die. Same thing for people who have survived a close call with natural disasters, like the flood that we recently saw in Florida, or an earthquake. Well, these moments can be quite life-altering. You'll know Vincent Trocheck as a center for the New York Rangers, selected by the Florida Panthers, 3rd round, 64th overall in the 2011 NHL entry draft.
Yeah, actually I do. Happened in, I was playing in San Antonio in the minors, and my roommate was Michael Hauser, who's now in Buffalo, the goalie. And he had this Lexus SUV, the big SUV, like a GX70 or something like that, I think it was called. But anyway, we were on our way to a game, and we were on the highway, and just up ahead of us was another car was getting on the highway on an on-ramp. And just as he got on ahead of us, I guess after the fact, I know that the driver of the car had a seizure.
Oh, wow.
While he was behind the wheel, but from our view, it just looked like he did a U-turn right in front of us, and we T-boned him going about 65 miles an hour. We both spun out of control. We got T-boned from somebody else behind us. Our car was totaled, smashed. It was a disaster. Yeah, we were a couple feet from the overpass too. We almost went over the side of the overpass, but it was it was pretty movie-like, how in the movies you see whenever there's a crash, the person in the part of the crash sees white and you can't really hear anything, and it all goes fairly slow. And that's pretty accurate to how it actually felt like.
I know, isn't that weird? I've been in a car accident too, where we same thing. They got T-boned, and it's man, you look at the driver and it's slow motion almost. How does that happen, man? Yeah, everybody says that though.
Yeah, and it was a white. I mean, I hit my head off the windshield and concussed and stuff, but it wasn't. I mean, we were both fine. The car was. If it wasn't for the car we were driving, I think we would have been a little bit more trouble. The car was massive, but the whole front end was smashed in, and
wow.
Yeah, that was scary.
That could have been a lot worse, dude. For sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
We'll take you from an elite NHLer to an internet personality with over 300, I think maybe even closer to 350,000 followers, and a fitness trainer named Carmel Rodriguez. You'll know her from her unique barefoot workouts. Check out her Instagram account. You'll immediately know what I'm talking about.
I've had, I think I've had two. One was I was young and I was watching these kids jump off a dock in a lake. And I was like, oh, that looks so fun. It looks so easy. And I couldn't swim. And they were just jumping and they looked like they're having so much fun. So I just thought, oh, I'm going to do it too. And I just ran. And I honestly thought I was floating. And I ran and I jumped off and I landed in the water. And I just remember swimming down, I guess. I must have been swimming down. And I was gasping and I couldn't breathe. And I was going nowhere. And some woman pulled me out by my hair and lifted me up. And I was just like...
sinking like a rock.
Yeah. And then my other one was I was in a dentist chair and I was getting my wisdom teeth pulled.
Dentist.
And I hate dentists. I haven't been back. Well, maybe I have been back a few times, but I was in my 20s and I was getting my wisdom teeth pulled out. And I remember the dentist saying to me, okay, we're all done. I'm just going to sew up your mouth now. And all of a sudden I saw my life flashing before my eyes and the flip chart, past, present, and future of my life. Like I didn't realize that flip chart was real, like flipping before, that saying that they have. It was real. It was very real. And I just know that they gave me mouth-to-mouth resuscitation, an oxygen mask. And my dad was there. Somehow they had found him and he was coming, he was praying and he was holding my hand. He was waiting, just praying beside me. And yeah.
And do you remember seeing all of this go down?
I remember the flip chart. I don't remember what I saw, but I remember sitting there and it was like an entire dream that lasted hours or a lifetime. And I just remember seeing, and that my eyes were doing this. They told me, and it was like a seizure that I had. And I saw that's what I was seeing in my brain when it was happening. Yeah. Very cool to look back on it.
And from a well-known local fitness trainer to a retired MLB pitcher, he made his debut in 1997, played for the Kansas City Royals, New York Mets, Milwaukee Brewers, Chicago Cubs, San Diego Padres, and the Colorado Rockies. Glendon Rusch has been a guest.
I've had a couple, believe it or not. I had a pulmonary embolism, which is blood clot in your lung. I had that in 2006 at the end of the season in Chicago when I was a Cub, where I was in kind of bad shape. Doc said that no doubt if they didn't diagnose it properly in time, that's a killer. And I had another complication during my knee replacement during the Trump election that I was just telling you about. I had a bad combo of oxy in my system that took my oxygen levels down far below where they should have been, and that was definitely considered a near-death experience. I was completely out, and I felt like I lost 24 hours of my life, but it was only in the matter of maybe a couple hours. I felt like I was gone for a full day, and I remember them waking me up and telling me to breathe, yelling at me to breathe because my body wasn't breathing for me. So yeah, pretty crazy.
Dude, that's trippy.
But I'm here.
The Toddcast podcast is powered by Milano Coffee, bringing you the finest espresso and coffee concepts in the world. Online at milanocoffee.ca.
You're blocking up your glasses while you try to catch your breath. Take off the
Listen to this on the Toddcast podcast.
You've heard alternative country singer-songwriter Kyle McCurney's music on this podcast since we launched. That big riff that you hear off the top is Kyle's old band, Hard Honey. He was nice enough to let us use that song for the intro. We've been friends going back decades at this point, and with each project, Kyle has impressed. His latest band continues to dominate. His debut solo album, Down Home, nominated for Alternative Country Album of the Year at the 2022 Canadian Country Music Awards. In 2023, Kyle won for Contemporary Singer of the Year and was nominated for the Contemporary Album of the Year and Indigenous Songwriter of the Year at the Canadian Folk Music Awards. He won the Alternative Country Album of the Year award at the 2023 Canadian Country Music Awards. Like I said, impressive stuff. And the last time that Kyle was a guest, we talked about being born and raised in Fort St. John, the music that was in his house as a kid growing up, his 5-year goals. He shared a casino blackjack story, the worst job that he's had, the shows that he was binge watching at the time. We talked sports and how he's a longtime supporter of the Edmonton Oilers. And boy, this year's playoffs must have been a wild ride for him then, hey? And Kyle shared a near-death story involving a moose. Listen to this.
Oh, man. Lots. I mean, well, just the other day, we almost hit a moose on the highway. We were driving and had to slam on the brakes, and he was in front of us. He was big. And
they're huge, man.
This one was particularly large and
like big as a car.
Yeah, and I have a big truck. Like it's got a 4-inch lift, and it's a big truck to begin with. And yeah, this guy was like towering over my truck. It was intense. But yeah, we didn't hit him. We just got by, and it was scary. Yeah,
dude, those could be dicey moments, man. You don't want to be hitting a moose, especially at high speeds.
The strange thing about that was that hours before that, we hit black ice and fishtailed really bad. You know, going 110 on the highway, and so that was scary and kind of rare. You know that you hit black ice sometimes, but not that often. And then I've driven a lot in winter at nighttime in Canada, and
like touring and stuff.
Yeah, totally. And you'll see a moose, but we saw 4 moose on the side of the highway that night in different intervals. It was nuts. It was eerie, you know.
Listen to this on the Toddcast podcast is brought to you by Tedco RV Supplies in Langley, an ICBC-approved repair shop. Visit them on Facebook and Twitter at Tedco RV Supplies.
Red Truck Beer. Nothing delivers like a red truck. Official beer of the Toddcast podcast.
Spending too much time staring at a map. So many things
listen to their music. I cannot wait to see what Blue Stem brings to the live venue. Cool new song for those guys called Always Somewhere to Be. It's new Toddcast music as well. Yeah, stoked to see them open up the night at our next live show. Volume 32 on Friday, November 29th. The Get Minds will headline the night. Played you something from those guys earlier on. The interview, the performance, as mentioned, it's super intimate. Blue Light Studio in East Vancouver. I mean, we capped the night at 60 people, right? Because it's just that small. The venue is, I mean, you'll love the vibe of this room. It's just really chill. It's laid back. Of course, there's a bar. You can tip a few back. Red Trucks, Nudes, Canadian Clubs, all of the sponsors are there. And it's a steal of a deal at 20 Bones through Eventbrite.ca. Now, you heard a band called Cloudsick, and there's another new song for the Toddcast. It's called Crutch, and that's the song that starts off their brand new EP, which they released, I guess, about a month back now, a month and a bit ago, maybe 2 months back. They're playing a show for us in December on the 20th. My birthday is on the 19th, so it's one of those, I'm just saying to my buddies and stuff, it's one of those late B-Day bash parties, the birthday party, right? So don't sleep on the tickets for this one. This one will definitely sell out. Chief State will headline that night. I can't wait for both bands. I mean, a couple of my favorites in the scene, and you know that they're absolutely, both bands are going to crush live. Speaking of shows you should be going to check out, there's a small list of shows happening locally with the concert calendar at the newly revived and relaunched toddhancock.ca. We are now completely mobile friendly. Woohoo! If you're going to an indie show, if you're playing an indie show, let me know about it. We'll get it up at the site, get some free advertising for the show, and send me your music as well. Love to hear what you're working on, your latest songs. Hell, I might even play one on the cast. Okay, so let's get to the final guests of this Near Death Stories podcast. This week's entertainment guests are powered by Thrive Management, longtime friends of the podcast, talking like a couple decades. They're an event staffing agency here in Canada. In fact, one of our biggest. If you need models, brand ambassadors, operations, sales, film, TV, trade shows, whatever it is, Sasha can help dial that up. No fuss, no muss. Thrive works in major cities across the country. Get them helping and working for you at your next event through thrivemanagement.ca. So if you've ever been in a car crash, you know how time slows down and it's that really weird, trippy feeling. It's like what you see on TV shows or on a movie where, you know, there's a crash and afterwards you kind of reflect on it. Obviously shaken, right, from the accident, but equally, you know, it's contemplating life, and it's a wake-up call, right, when you're in those kind of moments, and often it kind of makes you see things differently, I guess. Dating coach, I Deserve Love author, and love manifestation expert, Jacqueline Fay has a super scary near-death story.
Yeah, I mean, it happened to me recently, to be honest. So we moved to Florida. I lived in California, and I never knew like mold was a thing. And in Florida, apparently mold is a thing. So we bought this house and we moved there not knowing very much about it, and it had black mold in it. And I got really, really sick. And this was like last year. This was recent. And there was literally a point in time where I got so skinny. I was like, it was ridiculous. I was like 88 pounds and like I couldn't gain weight to save my life. And I literally thought I was going to have to be on a feeding tube. Like it was bad. And so I ended up getting into like oxygen and doing ozone therapy and hyperbaric chamber and really crazy things. Like actually sounds was the thing that was the most healing to remove the black mold from your body. Because what happens is the mold can actually grow inside of your body, which is really scary and horrible. But
so
I am better now.
Were you just kind of like, was it like a respiratory thing? Like you eventually started and shit, or like what was it?
It started as a sinus infection. So I had a sinus infection that lasted for 3 months that wouldn't go away. And I finally I went on antibiotics like a couple of times, and I finally just had to go to the doctor. And, you know, after a third round of antibiotics, the sinus infection went away. but the mold, I guess, had gone through my sinuses and kind of went to my brain. It went into my nervous system. It was insane. Like, so it's like a real thing. So you should definitely get your house tested for that. I now know. So that was scary.
And we'll take you from a well-known dating coach to the original organizer of Vancouver's The Kush Cup. Remember those back in the 2000s before legalization here in Canada? Mark Klokeid put together the cup, where you kind of got a bit of a taste of different strains. I think didn't they do like that A through Z or whatever? I think it was like 26 or 28 different strains, and you could kind of judge each based on merits and whatever else. And there was also, you know, a little bit of something else, like there's like hash in it as well. And maybe there were some tinctures to taste, or there were certainly dabs if you made it onto the party bus for the Kush Cup, which of course I always did. For work purposes. I mean, I had to be there for work purposes for CFOX, right? Mark was known as the weed guy. So I guess it made sense that he put together the Kush Cup here in Vancouver and all the ongoings. I remember that one year he had Cheech and Chong coming up and emceeing one of his events, and he was absolutely stoked to get them to come up.
21 years old, and I came down with cancer at that time. So that's literally, I noticed I had a growth on my neck, and didn't really know what it was. We were joking it was like a third head or something coming out, and literally. So, and I got like a biopsy done on it, where they stuck a needle in it, and it was inconclusive. He ordered some ultrasounds, and I went and partied, and the next morning I was just sick, throwing up, and I left the house I was partying at and walked to my parents' place and went there, and I was still getting sick, and it was like 2 p.m, and my mom was like, this isn't a hangover, you know, like something's up. She's like, I'm going to take you to the hospital. So we drive to her, the hospital, and her cell phone rings, and the doctor that done the biopsy and ordered the ultrasound said I needed to go to the hospital right away, and that they could see my lymph nodes in the ultrasound, which meant that my lymph nodes were inflamed, and you're not even supposed to be able to see them in an ultrasound. They're about the size of kidney beans. So they knew that I had cancer at that point, I'm sure.
It will take you from the weed guy to Real Housewives of Dallas alum LeeAnne Locken. You'll know her from more than just the Housewives, though. She's a TV host, a model, author. She won Miss Arizona back in 1989. And when LeeAnne was a guest, she shared a near-death story.
Several times.
Yeah, most people have.
Yeah, I would say the one that sticks out in my mind the most is my stepbrother and I were in Colorado, and I remember that it was like one of those days we didn't have ski school or anything, so we went exploring, and we found this river that ran around the mountain where we were staying, and my brother wanted to go ice skating on it, and I was like, let me be a good big sister, and I grabbed a branch, and I said, let me test it first, and as I jumped, the branch broke, and the ice broke, and I went under the river. Oh my God. It got deep, and then I couldn't get out. And then I waited for the river to get shallow, and I broke the ice with my back. And my brother put a stick in and sort of just pulled me out because I was frozen. And then we had to walk like, I don't know, quarter mile home in the snow, soaking wet. I mean, I remember being in such shock. I was like, David, and I lifted my leg and water came rushing out of my boot. And then my grandmother didn't know. So my grandmother was putting together a nice hot bath for me to get in. And my aunt came bursting in and was like, don't put her in hot water. And they filled the bathtub up with freezing cold water, threw all the ice cubes we had. And I could not get in it. It looked like it was it felt like it was boiling hot on my skin. Wow. And I lost a lot of the blood flow at my extremities, my toes and my hands. Always stay cold now because it just, that was how you get in the bathtub. So it took probably all day for me to warm up.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I would definitely say that was almost dead.
I would say so.
Yeah, there was another time where I had walking pneumonia here in Dallas when I first moved to Dallas. And I couldn't stay awake. And I remember my roommate, Tiffany, her boyfriend had called looking for her. And he was like, why don't you just go to the clinic that's across the street from your apartment? And I didn't know there was one there. So I don't remember driving over there. I passed out on the sofa after I checked in. They called my name. I got up. I left my purse. They were like, get your purse. And I went in the back and I was sitting on the table and they were trying to take my blood pressure. And I was so lightheaded. I was like, I'm going to pass out. You got to let me lay down. They're like, you got to sit up for us to take your blood pressure. And I was like, I'm going to pass out. And I just remember passing out, coming to, and they called the doctor and everybody was freaking out and they were trying to get an IV in me to hydrate me. And she let go of the tube, attached the needle, and blood sort of squirted a little bit. And I just rolled my head to the side and all I could get out was like one tear. And I thought, I'm going to die here and no one knows where I am. I mean, my blood pressure was like moments from comatose. Wow. So yeah, but they saved me.
Talkcast Podcast entertainment guest visits are powered by Thrive Management, an event staffing agency that provides staffing services across Calgary, Edmonton, Toronto, Ottawa, and all of BC. Find out more at thrivemanagement.ca.
Silence! On the shipwreck, there wasn't much skin left to cover my bones. I felt the eyes of the beachhead watch me try to put some air in my lungs. And I heard the siren song in the distance, but I couldn't get up to run. The smile I'm trying to distinguish would drag me underneath again. Take me back to the memories I
Love that song. They are Arlo Wells, and a pummeling song for those guys called Siren. Certainly a highlight of our live shows at the Blue Light Studio from last year. There's, in fact, a few videos of their performance at our YouTube channel. If you want to check that out, if you haven't already, subscribe when you're there. All of our live shows, all of the interviews that we do, we're constantly updating our page at YouTube. Arlo Wells The song is Siren. Dig that band. Thought you might like it as well. Hopefully they're working on new music as I speak. Now, before we wrap things up, I wanted, of course, to give a big thanks to this week's guests, shining a spotlight on them well after the fact. Literally, some of these guests we're talking with today were originally on the podcast 6-7 years ago. This week, it's all about their near-death stories. Some people feel overwhelmed with gratitude after these styles of events, after almost, getting a second chance at life, really, when you think about it. Like, think about people who have been resuscitated after drowning or have a heart attack and they're brought back to life. Like, how could you not feel gratitude at that point, right? Great stories this week, episode 346. And my name is Todd Hancock. Thanks again for being there. Appreciate that. If you like what you heard, please tell your friends about what we do. It's a big way of how we grow. We see it daily on social media, so appreciate that. We are part of the Realm.fm network. Realm.fm network. They're absolutely massive. A huge podcast network with fiction and nonfiction. So check them out. You can subscribe to us on iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts. Of course, as mentioned, see all of our videos at YouTube. Comment and rate the podcast. That helps out big time. Search it out through Toddcast podcast, of course. Huge thanks to all of our wonderful sponsors. We couldn't do it without their support. You can find links to all sponsor websites at toddhancock.ca. If you'd like to sponsor the podcast, you can for as little as $10 a day. Contact info is at the homepage. And as an aside here, help us find a sponsor. We will give you a commission. Make some money listening to this podcast. What other podcast does that? I'll wait. And I'll wait. Till next time, don't be an asshole, because nobody wants to be around that. Have fun, play hard, and most of all, believe in yourself.
You've been listening to the Toddcast podcast, powered by Citywide Mortgage Services, dedicated to helping you find the best mortgage rates. Available 7 days a week at citywidemortgage.ca.
Oh, please, not that music. That music gives me nightmares from my childhood.
Could we get something a little bit lighter, some lighter music here?
Are you a fan of true crime TV shows?
And what about Unsolved Mysteries, the show that jump-started all of our love of true crime?
I'm Ellen Marsh.
And I'm Joey Taranto.
And we host I Think Not, a true crime comedy podcast covering some of the wildest stories from your favorite true crime campy TV shows all the way to Unsolved Mysteries.
Baby, you will laugh, you will cry, you'll think about true crime in a whole new way, and you'll also ask yourself, who gave these people mics?
New episodes of I Think Not are released every Wednesday, with bonus episodes out every Thursday on Patreon.
And every Monday, you can listen to our True Crime Rundown, where we go over the top true crime headlines of the week.
So come and join us wherever you listen to your podcasts.
The Regency era. You might know it as the time when Bridgerton takes place, or the time when Jane Austen wrote her books. But the Regency era was also an explosive time of social change, sex scandals, and maybe the worst king in British history. And on the Vulgar History podcast, we're going to be looking at the balls, the gowns, and all the scandal of the Regency era. Vulgar History is a women's history podcast, and our Regency era series will be focusing on the most rebellious women of this time. That includes Jane Austen herself, who is maybe more radical than you might have thought. We'll also be talking about queer icons like Anne Lister, scientists like Mary Anning and Ada Lovelace, as well as other scandalous actresses, royal mistresses, rebellious princesses, and other lesser-known figures who made history happen in England in the Regency era. Listen to Vulgar History wherever you get podcasts.
For 8 years, we've been asking the same question over and over again. How did this happen? My name's Mandy.
And I'm Melissa, and we're the hosts of Moms and Mysteries, the true crime podcast with over 55 million downloads.
We're two Florida moms who are obsessed with mysteries. Each week, we do deep dives into fascinating true crime stories.
We cover everything from infamous cases like Casey Anthony
to the bizarre and complex crimes right here in our home state, like the shocking murder of FSU professor Dan Markell.
We bring you the facts, but with warmth and wit you'd only get from two friends who have been hooked on mysteries since childhood.
Join us for new episodes of Moms and Mysteries every Tuesday and Thursday.
Listen to Moms and Mysteries on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcast.